The reason I wanted to have a chat with you, because I was quite, I've been looking at the news, and I don't think anyone could have missed in the news recently, considering it's entirely about Dominic Cummings, and and obviously that's not what I've asked you to talk about, because that's not what we're looking at. But seeing the scenes outside his house with the paparazzi, and that's reminded me, over the years, I've had a lot of run-ins with paparazzi in the press when I've been looking after high-profile celebrities. So what I really would like is some tips from you, some advice on what to do in that sort of situation.
Yeah, well, thanks, Simeon, for inviting me. So I looked at a video clipping last night of the news of Mr. Cummings and around his house, how he was swarmed with paparazzi. Now, we've had that. I've encountered that many, many times with the people that I have looked after, whether it be a celebrity, a pop star, rock star. It could be anyone, even down to diplomats. What we've got to try and look at is, once you've gone into that hornet's nest, it's very difficult for you to get back out. I mean, it's very difficult for you to get back out without having your image damaged. We've got to look at that, because it's passing people away, it's moving people away, it's going to get quite hostile in certain situations. So it's about the prevention side of it. So if we look at profiling principle, they've just rocked up at his house, they're going to start filming. What do we do from here? You're now in a crisis. You're now in a crisis situation. That should have been looked at. So it's about taking your security and your safety seriously. I believe he lives with his wife and his child. Yeah. So if you go back to his own home, people do just turn up with the cameras, the satellite dishes, the press, the paparazzi. They all turn up, and they don't really care. It's basically, they want that picture. It's about prevention.
Yeah.
So as a person from your industry and a person from my industry, there's a hell of a lot of synergy where we have to know what the threat is. Get a phone call. Phil, how do we protect a person? What is a threat? Is it a factual, perceived, circumstantial, image, paranoia, general, specific combination? So it's getting information from our principal. Once we've got the information, we can start preventing. It's a long, drawn-out process, but if you're going to do the job properly, you must have to start planning. You're putting all your plans in place. Obviously, what you have to do in a situation like that is become a crisis. Now, he's actually confronted them. He's gone outside. He's had to go wherever he's going, so he's moving people away. And we're looking at the social distancing straight away. That's been broken. Okay, so these people are within inches of him with the cameras, etc. How can you prevent that? The simplest way is there a back door. That's the simplest one, and everyone will say, really? But you've got to put those things into consideration, because everyone will be expecting them to come out the front door because they will want the confrontation. Is there a second way out? If there is, utilise that. It may not be a case, because there'll probably be a part up there as well. Knowing the paparazzi, what they do, they'll just completely encompass the whole area to make sure that they're going to get that picture. That's what they want. We have to go back to people who've been harmed or injured in situations. And there's one of the biggest high-profile cases or situations that we know about, where somebody was followed down a tunnel in Paris. She was followed by the paparazzi. Things happened and it went completely wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we all know that one.
Pardon?
So I think we all know that one, yes.
We all know that one. What was the threat? Obviously, people will get on and start saying, well, the threat was the paparazzi. But what they were going to do, they was just going to take photographs of them. At the end of the day, is there harm from having a photograph taken from you? We've got to look at what the perceived threat is. Okay, so when we're protecting a person, it's understanding the paparazzi they're doing their job at work, which is taking photographs. Our job is to protect the principal from harm's way. There's failings a lot of times where people don't understand what the real threat is and understanding how to protect your principal. And it's all about avoidance. It's everything that we talk about in the whole industry. It's about avoidance, not putting yourself in a situation, reading the situation correctly and not overreacting. And we saw sadly what happened in Paris, where the driver accelerated. Whatever happened, we'll never know the actual truth, and there was a lot of fatalities. Okay, I'm trying to be political there, but at the end of the day, we can tiptoe around it. But where was the failings? Was it the understanding of what the real threat was? Was it overzealous people who were chasing, or was it just lack of training? So it's a combination of everything that we've got to discuss. So in your role, in your situation, how can you prevent things? It's about having your people trained and aware of what's going on. There's a build-up of people around. Have you seen these people before? So everything that we try and do is prevention. 90% of things is prevention. Risk assessing, profiling, which is the most boringest of jobs. But that's...
boring's good though, isn't it?
Well, it is. At the end of the day, boring is good, because a satisfactory job, or a job which is 100% well done, it's a job where there's been no repercussions, there's been no incidents. Okay, so that's what we've got to aim for, and every sort of situation that we do. So when he confronted last night, or yesterday afternoon, when he confronted all the paparazzi, he put himself in that hornet's nest. And we see that so many times, all the pop stars who do that. Now, pop stars, they need paparazzi, because they need that attention, they need the glamour, etc. But is that damaging their reputation? Some of it will, some of it won't, because the more paparazzi will take photographs of people, the more they will get social media interest, and their profile will go higher. But somebody who's on a diplomatic or a government status, they want to be nice and low key. So it's balancing everything that we do. Paparazzi they've got a need, they want to do it, and the show business people need paparazzi. But people in government, etc., they don't really, and they shouldn't have that attention. So putting yourself into harm's way, you're not going to get a slap, but what you are doing, you're getting a lot of photographs, etc. Prevention. Read the situation correctly. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Plan. And when you're getting intelligence from people, because obviously he's getting intelligence from the police services, act on it, because then that's what's happened. It's become a crisis. You're crisis managing rather than preventing it all the time. So act on information. Don't be scared if you think that there's something wrong. Act on it.
I know from personal experience of being in sort of similar situations as a butler, it's really difficult not to get sort of caught up with the adrenaline of the situation.
Yeah.
It's famous, and it's easy to say from your armchair. I don't mean your armchair, I mean one's armchair, just to make clear. But it's, right here, I'd say I wouldn't be caught up with it. But I know from the past, you do it. It's an escalating situation.
100%.
And the other thing that I noticed, and anyone who hasn't been in this situation wouldn't know this, you would. But the paparazzi, they want you to punch them.
Exactly, yeah.
They are goading you, trying to say things and do things which are going to make you react, especially in a physical or shouting at them. That's what they want. So they'll deliberately say things.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a tactic what you've got to train your staff in. If we talk about close protection and putting a team together looking after a person, it's understanding what the threat is. We know that we're dealing with the paparazzi. So we know that the threat is not a physical harm, but it's a reputational harm, where Bodyguard punches cameraman. We've seen that so many times, God bless them. And people they've been pushed and pushed and pushed. And I don't condone any type of violence. I hate violence in every stretch of imagination. It says a world karate champion. But it's one of those things that I don't like violence. So that's why I try and prevent it all the time. But people, and you really are right there, people will push you, because getting a photograph of a celebrity is one thing, but getting a photograph of a bodyguard or somebody or a protection officer punching another camera person, what would the ratings go for that? Who go phenomenal, and they would make a fortune from that picture. Okay, so it's basically getting information and thinking, right, having the right team in place around you. And when I pick a team, and when I used to work a lot more than I did, you're profiling your team as well, because you don't want a volatile person who will react to that, because you can control yourself, but you might not be able to control the person because the person might be under stress. So when you're putting a team together or protecting a person, you're picking the right specific person for that job, and they know that they can deal with it. They're calm, they're collective, they're not going to go off, and they're not going to bring you down, because once you get into an altercation like that, then you've lost a member of your team, whether he gets arrested or there's a fracas or something else happens. So while that you're dealing with that melee, your principal is sat here with no protection team.
Yeah.
So it's having everything we go around here. I mean, in our job, it's about prevention, and like your job, it's about the planning aspect of it. And like you've said there, you've dealt with the paps. I mean, I know quite a few lads on the circuit, and I was quite well known from some of the reporters, and I had a good rapport with them. I'd go over to them, I'd speak to them and say, right, listen, lads, this is the situation, this is what we're going to be doing. I can't obviously say who I was working for at that particular time, because that would still be unprofessional of me. But the people who know me, who still watch my posts, etc., they still send me pictures of they've actually taken of me when I was looking after somebody. And it was only because I treated them with respect that you would get that respect. In a situation, what happened there was no control. We had a control measure in place where we put that control measure in place, where yesterday it just went boom, and it was gone. He was dealing with a crisis. His image was gone. The Prime Minister will have to deal with all that, etc. And he'll have to start mopping up everything that's gone wrong. And there was a lot of bad planning there. You know that there's a problem there. Put the measures in place to protect the person and their image. So at the end of the day, you've got to plan. You really have got to plan.
And I suppose, like, when you're dealing with, I mean, probably less so with this gentleman, but of course you never know. When you're dealing with people in the public eye, there's always a genuine threat, a physical threat as well. Not of course, not from the paparazzi, but having a big group of people around. Anyone could join that group who does actually mean harm. Surely that must make your job a lot more difficult.
Yeah. When I teach courses or when we do anything, we talk about the profiling of the person. So if you go back to one of the biggest things that I actually show, and people who've been on my course know this, it's the Ronald Reagan attack.
Mm.
So if you YouTube that and you look at that, you analyse that, what we always do. And like you said, we can sit here and we can say, well, we can do this and we can do that. Cold light of day, when the adrenaline's going, these are armed protection officers, Secret Service officers. This person actually turned up from the middle of nowhere and boom, gone. It was that pot shot that he took. Was it planned? We will never know that, what was going through that person's mind. But the protection team, when you look at the protection team, I think there's 5 or 6 shots went off. A couple were injured. One of them was seriously injured. The president was shot as well. But if you look at the video, he was taken down, and I think, if I'm quite right, he was a member of the public. But one of the Secret Service people actually spoke to the person beforehand. So we go back again, a group of people. So a group of people like that creates such a dangerous situation. It could be a knife, it could be a blade, it could be a firearm. The firearm can be discharged without anyone even knowing who's discharged the firearm. So it all goes down to controlling the crowd and making it open. And again, we'll have somebody come out and say, well, what if somebody has a pot shot from a distance? If somebody's going to take a pot shot of you, you can only put the prevention things in place. You've already been targeted by these bad folk. And that's the problem. So we're coming in the back door and we're trying to prevent something happening, which has already been planned. They've actually got their stage. They want to know where their stage is going to be performed. Okay, they're looking for that opportunity. And if your security is weak and it's not planned, you give them a perfect opportunity to perform what they're going to be doing. Okay, so it's controlling the whole situation as you're going down, keeping people away, and you're also having people outside the arcs. So you're not just having people in the box where you're looking after people. You're looking at people who are actually watching the watchers. So you've got so many people around in the whole job, it becomes a big operation. But if you look after somebody's life, that's what you should do. Footballers, one of the big things is autograph hunters, overzealous people coming to your paparazzi. You've got to be constantly on your toes. Remember, footballers again, they're show business people now. The celebrities, they are massive celebrities, and I've guided so many of them. And there's one quite iconic picture of me with a gentleman, and I looked quite stressed. I wasn't stressed, it was a person in front of me who was getting really aggressive with the person. And I had to put my hand around the principal and move him. He's never had that before, but because the person was displaying signs of aggression and I wasn't comfortable with it, I had to react with it. Where was my team? Again, down to people who don't understand what we do. There should have been a bigger team there. But when you get employed as a protection officer, sometimes you've got to do the job on your own. Which people out there will say, well, you're not very good then. But at the end of the day, no one got hurt, and basically we removed the principal, straight into the vehicle, and off we went. So it's controlling the whole situation. We can't account for somebody who's basically going, bump, we're gone. Okay, but you can put things in place. So it's all about prevention. And in your industry as well, you will be coming across, because you're meeting and greeting people at the door. They may not be security, so you're going to be the point of contact, and you will be meeting and greeting the paparazzi. You may have to step up to move somebody and get them into the vehicle. So it's about having your awareness. I mean, and obviously you've been around and you've looked at and you've worked with so many people, so your awareness is quite high, where a lot of other people have taken it for granted. So a lot of it is being trained, but it's also being switched on. In your current situation, take the threat seriously.
You touched on something there, which is something that I always train in my Butler courses, and it's difficult to do, and it sounds very simple, but it's literally just opening the door to people.
Yeah.
Who do you open the door to? Is it one of your principal's friends that's popped round just for tea? Yeah. Or, if you haven't got in the diary that someone's due, when do you and when don't you open the door? And, it's something that I certainly try and train butlers at my Butler School, because very unwittingly you could be putting yourself and others in harm's way without even thinking about it.
Yeah, you're perfect there, because what that leads on is to what we use is called the 7 Ps. And it's basically what we cover on the 7 Ps. And it covers the whole thing, because when you're looking after a person, you want a day-to-day running of people who are coming through the door, visitors, workmen, etc. So we look at the principal's health. Obviously, you can't see that from here. We're looking at principal's health, principal's profile, family, relatives, personal emotional involvement, business associates, friends, business rivals, competitors, enemies, social acquaintances, anyone else considered relevant. So once we've got a profile of the principal and people who are coming to the door, you can start identifying who is a threat, who's not a threat. Are we expecting that person? Who is that person? Is it a delivery person? Are you expecting deliveries today? Who are they from? Is it from a registered company? Is it just a courier service? Can you check there, or can you validate who they're actually delivering from, and what is the package out there they're actually delivering? That's one thing. Yeah. It's okay, so we've got a delivery from you, put it in. But was you expecting something? You may be just taking something which you really shouldn't be taking hold of, and we won't go into that. But knowing what the threat is, it could be something that could really cause you harm. It could be an IED. At the end of it, if somebody's delivering something to you, it could be something nasty, it could be an IED, it could be something even more, what's more dangerous than an IED.
But you're right. I mean, it could be something that looks, just the classic envelope of white powder, anthrax or anything. You just don't know.
Yeah. There was a group years ago, and I won't go into them. And basically, they would send letters to certain people, and when they would open them, there was razor blades in the envelopes. So when you cut your fingers to bits. Now, obviously, that's not the biggest threat, But what that actually does, one, it tells people that they know where you live. Two, that they know that there's no security, there's no control in there. And the psychological thing of you opening a letter and putting your fingers open, you think, that psychological will mess anyone's head up, because you've actually been attacked, but by somebody who knows where you are, but you don't know who that person is. Okay, so again, we're going right the way back again, and we're reverting back. And I must sound really boring, but that's basically how you're doing it. It's the people, the places, prejudices, personality, the principle, personal history, private lifestyle, and political views. That is our understanding of the principle. So once you're training your butlers and everyone else around your group, it will make them so much aware of what's going on around them that they won't become paranoid. They become really, really switched on. I remember teaching on a course many, many years ago, and the chap was an ex-commando, good friend of mine. And we used to go to a shopping centre and do the walking drills, etc. And you'd have to do the recce's, etc. And we do so many different scenarios. And he said, "Phil, I hate you because you made me such a paranoia. You make me look at things in so many different things." And I think a lot of people who know me, have been on my courses, will actually say the same. Because you're not making people paranoid, you're making them look at different things differently. Look at that. Why is that person turned up? Why is that person watching me? Okay, you're not being paranoid about things. You're just recognizing certain situations, and you're being aware of your own surroundings. So awareness, what you're doing in your Butler School, is absolute. It's paramount. It really is a paramount. You're going to be either first or second stage of that prevention, because you will be speaking to the principal on a day-to-day basis, and you'll probably get more information from your principal than the close protection team, because you're in them confined areas and you've got that trust. So I think teaching people in the household certain things like that is 100% needed. It's it's one of those things that will only help everyone. It won't hinder anyone.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good advice and good to know. So any other I'm always aware that people will only watch for a certain amount of time, so we'll probably have to sort of draw this one to a close soon. But any other specific advice that you think's like really important for people who might be finding themselves in this sort of situation?
I think if you're being targeted, you've got to be aware of the people around you. Are you being followed? Okay, it's not just you, remember, it's your family as well, your extended family. If you're married, you've got children, they will target the principal, but they will also target the family.
Yeah.
So you're making your family not aware. Be careful what you're doing, be constantly what you're doing, reporting into people, speaking to people on a day-to-day basis, getting information. That car's there again. We've seen people knocking around. So it's basically just trying to make people more aware of what's going on around them. It's not being paranoid and all. When you're going out to somewhere, if you as a family or you're splitting up, etc., have a time. Half an hour. I'll ring you when I. Very, very simple. You've gone. Yeah. Just simple techniques. What you're actually doing. Are you being followed? Has a car followed you from wherever? So if I drive off my road, the first thing I do, as soon as I drive off, I check my rear mirror. Then as soon as I turn the left corner onto the main road, I see if there's a car to my right hand side. That's a vulnerable point. Not that I'm in any danger. What I'm actually doing is constantly being vigilant, and that's good road sense as well. Okay, so as soon as I pull out, I check there, because that's a vulnerable point. When I'm doing my recce's, key point, vulnerable point where somebody can follow you. Most people are targeted at home, because that's where people know that where you will be, or at your place of work. So in between, that's where you're going to be randomly picking you up. Sorry. So your first point is red 1. I call it red 1 and red 2. And then from there, you've got to be constantly aware how long your journey is going to be, your vulnerable points, how long your your actual stop points are, etc. So you're going through the whole processes. Can you teach people that in your school? Yeah, probably. Yeah, most definitely. Anyone can be trained anything really, but it's what can you teach people which is relevant to this situation. It's awareness more than anything. And if you recognise there's a threat, put the things in place, prevent it. Maybe instead of staying there, go to a family's house. You know, if you can do, obviously, rather than everyone knows that this person lives at ABC, he's going up to his mum and dad's where he shouldn't have gone to anyway.
I was going to say, don't we right back to the beginning now, aren't we? Say, don't go and visit your family house. Yeah.
Or go to a safe area, which is gleamed a safe area. There's no hotels open, I'm sure there isn't. But if there's a safe area, because you've got to look at your own personal safety. Everyone knows that house now is a target. It's going to be a hub of activity. So you've got to remove yourself from that threat, maybe go to somewhere not hundreds of miles away. I'm sure everyone in a situation, out of the normal situation that we're in, if you was in a situation like that, go to a safe area where no one else knows. You then diffuse the whole situation. You don't tell people where you're going. And obviously, you're not in hiding what you're doing. You're just taking control of it. A simple thing as that is just removing everyone away from it, going to somewhere where it's out of the way, where people don't know you. Again, we're talking out of COVID situation in social distancing. In this sort of situation, people have got to look at, is he in harm's way? Well, possibly, yeah. Because, you may get somebody who really takes umbrage to this and has a bit of a threat to the person. Well, it's not just a paparazzi.
Yeah. To be honest, if some of the social media posts that I've seen about this have got any merit to them, there's people with genuine anger that could easily manifest itself as violence.
Well, somebody may have lost a loved one, bless them, and at the end of the day, this person, whoever it is, let's not isolate this person, but whoever's doing that, that person may be manifested into a sort of situation where they've just have lost it. And that is, they've actually now become a higher target, not just for social media. They've ramped themselves up, and it's understanding again that threat. We talk about different threats, vendettas, etc. I mean, the Pope, he was attacked, and that threat, I think it took 2 years for it to manifest. But when the Pope was attacked, it took the guy from, I think it was from the Eastern Bloc where they shot him. But that's the sort of thing you're looking at. Gandhi. Other people, they take the time and then they'll choose a time. So it's not just about the paparazzi. You've got to look at here where somebody has got a real grudge about it. And it may not be just about that person. It may be because of the situation that person's in. Threat by association, we call it. Okay, so that is very, very important to understand that. It's not just a paparazzi that causing the problem. There could be somebody, and again, you hit that. All these paparazzi, excuse me, cameras, etc. So there'll be lots of noise, somebody with a firearm, somebody with a blade, could easily go in, boom. Yeah. Prevention. That's it. And take the job seriously, take the threat seriously. I think.
Well, I think that's absolutely invaluable advice that I think everyone should follow. It's a simple piece of advice. But sometimes it's the simplest that get ignored, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
But, no, thank you for that. I mean, it's been a great pleasure, and of course, I'm very aware we could continue talking about this for literally for hours. But as I mentioned, I know that people's attention has a shelf life, so.
Yeah. I'm not the most explosive of people on there. I'm not very dynamic. I'm quite boring, but we get the point. And the point here is, Simeon, I mean, I've been in the job 27 years, so please God, you get altercations. You do get altercations, and I've been quite lucky or fortunate because I've been put in some situations where we've had to deal with things, and it all comes back down to that boring thing, prevention. And people want to hear the glory stories, and probably we'll share that on our courses, which will be out soon. Said I wouldn't mention it, but I think eventually that's what we need to do, mention the courses out there. But yeah, prevention, that's the best thing. Take the threat seriously, understand what the threat is. People think, well, what is a threat? People have got different perceptions of what a threat is. But if you feel threatened, that's a threat. Yeah. That's the simplest analogy I can give anyone. If you
it's
feel
like we were saying, like, in this situation, boring is good, isn't it? Because to be honest, like if you were on here and you were just talking about sort of, should we call it sort of retroactive bodyguarding, jumping in the way of people, wrestling people to the ground, it's very entertaining, it's very exciting, but it's not really you doing your job properly, is it?
No, you failed. As soon as you tackle somebody to the ground, you're on the floor, you're rolling around, your principal says, oh, it's a smashing kick, but your principal's now without protection. Excuse me. So at the end of the day, it's all about prevention. 95% of it's about planning. And the other 5% gets all a bit glitzy. You do get into all that thing where you do have to move quickly. But if you don't move quickly, because you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get caught out. Go back to planning again. Yeah, I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours. I love this subject. I do enjoy the job, and I enjoy helping people. I don't like bullies, but that's sad. But people, I think that was on the post where they are bullies, and sadly, I think if they looked at themselves, because these folk are probably just trying to earn a wage at the end of the day, and I bet if they sat and really thought about themselves, they probably think, "Really, I didn't really think that I was doing that." And that's what we've got to look at.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Always a great pleasure to speak to you, and I'm sure everyone's been really enjoying what you've had to say. So hopefully we'll, you gave everyone a little hint about something that's coming up there. Maybe just a little tiny grain to spark people's imagination and get them contacting us. I'll leave it at that for now, but exciting things for the future.
Yeah, most definitely. And as always, I mean, it's a pleasure to speak to you, and it really is. And thank you for your time and your support.
Oh, thank you. So that was me, Simeon Rosse, speaking to Bodyguard Phil Moulton about current affairs and just general good advice for security. If you're enjoying the videos, please make sure you subscribe. If you've liked this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't liked this video, I'll tell you what, please hit the like button anyway, because it does me a favor if you like it. So thanks very much for that. And we really look forward to seeing you on some other videos, and we'll be seeing Phil again as well. So thank you.